The U.S. Provocateur drifted through the obsidian darkness of interstellar space, a vessel that defied every conventional understanding of spacecraft design. From the outside, it appeared to be a cobbled-together relic, a mishmash of outdated hull plating, asymmetrical sensor arrays, and what looked like jury-rigged communication systems. But this was deliberate camouflage, a carefully constructed illusion that masked technologies so advanced they bordered on the metaphysical. Captain Elena Rodriguez sat in the command module, her body a seamless fusion of organic human anatomy and cutting-edge cybernetic augmentation. Her left eye, a quantum-entangled optical system that could perceive realities beyond normal human perception, scanned multiple holographic displays simultaneously. Each display was a fractal nightmare of data, constantly shifting, analyzing, predicting. "Proximity alert," murmured Dr. Marcus Chen, the ship's quantum systems engineer. His fingers, enhanced with nano-interface circuitry, danced across holographic controls that would look like seizure-inducing nonsense to any outside observer. "Jorak border sensors are painting us." Exactly as predicted. Beside him, Lieutenant Aisha Nyong'o monitored the ship's adaptive camouflage systems. Her neural interface allowed her to feel the ship's external sensors as extensions of her own nervous system. She could taste the electromagnetic radiation, sense the gravitational fluctuations, hear the silent whispers of quantum fields that most beings couldn't comprehend. The crew of 6 was anything but a typical exploratory team. Each member was a living weapon, a multidisciplinary expert selected from humanity's most advanced research and military programs. Rodriguez herself was a product of the Terran Adaptive Response Initiative, a top-secret program designed to create human operators who could think and react beyond traditional military doctrine. "They're taking the bait," Rodriguez said, her voice a controlled whisper that carried the weight of decades of strategic planning. The ship's exterior continued to broadcast a carefully crafted illusion of vulnerability. Sensor readings suggested an antiquated propulsion system, minimal defensive capabilities, and a crew complement that would be laughably insufficient for a deep space mission. Every aspect of the U.S. Provocateur was a lie, a meticulously constructed narrative designed to trigger specific responses from the Jorak Collective. Dr. Imani Okoro, the team's synapsychological specialist, monitored the alien communication bands. Her augmented hearing could parse multiple simultaneous communication streams, detecting nuances that would escape even the most advanced translation algorithms. "Jorak Command is definitely interested," she reported, a hint of satisfaction in her voice. "They're deploying initial reconnaissance drones. Behavioral patterns match our predictive models with 98.7% accuracy. The ship's quantum computer, a device so advanced it bordered on sentience, was already running millions of potential scenarios. Each potential alien response was mapped, analyzed, and countered before it could even be conceived." Lieutenant Jacob Kim, the team's tactical systems specialist, monitored the ship's concealed armaments. To an outside observer, the U.S. Provocateur looked about as threatening as a museum piece. In reality, it carried technologies that could reshape entire star systems if deployed correctly. "Primary adaptive camouflage at 100%, Kim reported. "Quantum resonance fields are generating the exact electromagnetic signature of a low-budget exploration vessel. We are, for all intents and purposes, the galactic equivalent of a rusty cargo van wandering into a high-security military zone." Rodriguez allowed herself a slight smile. This wasn't just a mission. It was a carefully orchestrated performance, with humanity as the unseen director. The ship's interior was a marvel of compact efficiency. Every cubic centimeter was designed for maximum utility, with modular systems that could reconfigure themselves based on emerging mission parameters. The walls themselves were adaptive metamaterials that could change properties, from radar-absorbing to ultra-dense armor, in milliseconds. "Entering Jorak territorial space in 3 minutes," Chen announced. "Quantum drift generators are maintaining our current probability profile. To any standard sensor array, will look like nothing more than a statistical anomaly." Outside, the infinite darkness of space seemed to hold its breath. The U.S. Provocateur continued its seemingly random trajectory, a lone vessel entering the domain of a civilization that had dominated interstellar politics for millennia. But this was no ordinary vessel. This was a precision instrument, a strategic probe designed to challenge everything the Jorak thought they knew about humanity. And they were about to discover that one craft might be more than enough. The Jorak Central Command was a marvel of crystalline architecture, a massive spherical structure that orbited their species' home system. Constructed from living metamaterials that pulsed with neural energy, the command center was more organism than building. Grand Strategos Clerath dominated the central chamber, his massive crystalline form refracting light in complex patterns that served as a biological communication network. Clerath's neural tendrils, intricate appendages that served as both sensory organs and computational systems, spread across holographic displays showing the incoming human vessel. The other high-ranking Jorak commanders gathered around, their biomechanical forms a testament to millions of years of evolutionary optimization. Observe, Clerath's communication burst rippled through the chamber, a mixture of electromagnetic pulses and quantum-entangled thought forms. The hubris of these terrestrial primitives. The holographic representation of the U.S. Provocateur looked pathetic. Its sensor profile suggested a vessel cobbled together from outdated human technology, with propulsion systems that appeared to be centuries behind Jorak standard. The ship's energy signature was so weak it almost seemed like a mistake, a lost exploration vessel that had wandered far from home. Substrategos Vexna, a more cautious member of the command structure, raised a crystalline appendage in mild protest. The probability matrices suggest an anomaly. Human strategic doctrine rarely demonstrates such apparent incompetence. Clerath's response was a burst of contemptuous energy that translated into a sound resembling dismissive laughter. Probability. Look at this vessel. It is barely capable of maintaining structural integrity, let alone pose any meaningful threat to our domain. The chamber's ambient neural network began running comprehensive threat assessments. Trillion-cycle quantum computers analyzed every possible scenario, each computation a lightning-fast exploration of potential outcomes. Yet, for all their computational power, the Jorak were about to make a fundamental mistake. They were analyzing the vessel they could see, not the one that actually existed. Historical records showed the Jorak's complete dominance of galactic political and military spheres. They had conquered or subjugated over 217 sentient species across 3 galactic quadrants. Their technological superiority was so complete that most species surrendered the moment Jorak vessels entered their systems. "Prepare Interceptor Wing Epsilon," Clerath commanded. "We shall capture this vessel intact." The Xenobiological Research Division will be most interested in studying these terrestrial specimens. The chamber hummed with anticipation. Junior officers exchanged neural bursts of excitement. The possibility of examining living human specimens was a rare opportunity. Most encounters with humans had been brief, distant, and ultimately unsatisfying from a research perspective. What none of them understood was the true nature of the game being played. Deep within the Jorak computational systems, subtle quantum-level manipulations were already taking place. The very act of observing the human vessel was changing its quantum state in ways the Jorak couldn't comprehend. Each scan, each assessment, each dismissive evaluation was feeding into a larger, more complex strategy. Vexna continued to express reservations. Her neural patterns suggested a level of strategic caution that set her apart from the more bombastic members of the command structure. The human records we've intercepted suggest a species of unexpected adaptability. Our historical databases show multiple instances of technological leaps that defy conventional evolutionary progression. Clerath's response was a blast of neural energy that translated to pure condescension. Adaptability. We have conquered species with millions of years more technological development. These humans are barely a century into meaningful space exploration. The irony was profound. The Jorak were so convinced of their superiority that they had become blind to the very thing that made them vulnerable, their own unassailable belief in their supremacy. Interceptor Wing Epsilon began to mobilize. 12 vessels, each a pinnacle of Jorak military engineering, prepared to capture a single, seemingly helpless human craft. Weapon systems charged, quantum entanglement communication networks synchronized, defensive fields shimmered into existence. They were preparing to swat a fly, completely unaware that the fly was about to reveal itself as something far more dangerous. In the command chamber, Clorath's neural tendrils pulsed with anticipation. "Bring me the human vessel," he broadcast. "Let us see what these Terrestrials believe they can accomplish." Somewhere aboard the U.S. provocateur, Captain Alina Rodriguez allowed herself the slightest of smiles. The trap was about to be sprung. The first Jorak interceptor moved with predatory precision, its quantum-adaptive weapon systems charging to levels that had obliterated countless civilizations. The vessel was a marvel of biological mechanical engineering, a living weapon that could alter its structural composition faster than most species could comprehend a threat. Lieutenant Jacob Kim watched the approach with a clinical detachment that belied the complexity of the unfolding scenario. His neural interface merged with the U.S. provocateur's adaptive systems, creating a symbiotic relationship that transcended traditional human-machine interactions. "Incoming weapon lock," he murmured, his voice steady. Quantum resonance frequencies preparing counter-harmonics. Captain Alina Rodriguez felt the ship around her as an extension of her own consciousness. Her cybernetic eye parsed multiple potential trajectories, each movement a calculated dance of probability and quantum mechanics. To an outside observer, the U.S. provocateur's evasive maneuvers would look like impossible physics, a vessel that seemed to bend the very laws of motion. The Jorak interceptor pilot, a bioengineered combat organism named Krenak, experienced something unprecedented. Confusion. The human vessel moved in ways that defied standard combat algorithms. It wasn't just evading, it was actively manipulating the very fabric of spatial interaction. Dr. Marcus Chen's quantum systems began to emit a complex interference pattern. To the Jorak sensors, it would appear as nothing more than background radiation. In reality, it was a sophisticated probe, gathering intricate data about the alien vessel's defensive systems with each microsecond of interaction. Adaptive camouflage at maximum, Lieutenant Aisha Nyong'o reported. "We're generating quantum noise that should look like standard propulsion variants to their sensors." The dance continued. The Jorak interceptor would charge a weapon system, only to find the human vessel had already calculated its approach and was moving to a position of strategic advantage. It was less a chase and more a complex mathematical theorem being solved in real time. Krenak's bioneural systems began to overheat. The human vessel wasn't just evading, it was systematically testing the limits of the Jorak interceptor's capabilities. Each movement was a probe, each evasion a data point in a larger, more complex analysis. Inside the U.S. provocateur, Dr. Imani Okoro monitored the psychological impact. "Their pilot is experiencing cognitive dissonance," she reported. "Our movement patterns are triggering stress responses that weren't accounted for in their combat training." The ship itself was a living contradiction. From the outside, it looked like a decrepit exploration vessel. In reality, it was a precision instrument of strategic analysis, each movement carefully calculated to reveal maximum information while maintaining the illusion of vulnerability. Weapon systems that should have been simple point and shoot became complex mathematical challenges. The Jorak interceptor found itself constantly recalculating, its advanced targeting systems struggling to maintain a lock on a target that seemed to exist in multiple potential states simultaneously. "Quantum probability field at maximum," Kim announced. "We're presenting approximately 2,347 potential locations to their tracking systems. They're seeing us everywhere and nowhere." The dance continued, a ballet of technological sophistication that was about to reveal its true purpose. This wasn't just evasion. It was a comprehensive systems analysis disguised as a simple pursuit. As the confrontation stretched into its 10th minute, something became clear. The U.S. provocateur wasn't running. It was hunting. Captain Rodriguez's voice cut through the technical chatter. "Prepare Phase 2, she said simply. The ship's true nature was about to become apparent. Krenak, the Zorak interceptor pilot, would later struggle to explain what happened next. How a seemingly vulnerable human vessel had transformed a standard interception into a nightmare of computational complexity that challenged everything they understood about space combat. The dance was just beginning. As more Zorak vessels converged on the U.S. provocateur, the true nature of the mission began to reveal itself in layers of increasing complexity. What had appeared to be a simple evasion was transforming into a comprehensive systems infiltration that would challenge the very foundations of Zorak technological supremacy. Dr. Marcus Chen activated a series of quantum entanglement devices that looked like nothing more than a collection of antiquated communication modules. In reality, they were the most advanced infiltration systems humanity had ever developed. Each device was a living, adaptive intelligence that could penetrate and analyze alien technological systems at a fundamental level. Initiating deep scan protocols, Chen reported, his fingers dancing across holographic interfaces that shimmered with impossible complexity. "We're not just gathering data, we're rewriting the very language of their technological interaction." Lieutenant Aisha Nyong'o's neural interface began to pulse with a rhythm that was part mathematical equation, part biological signal. She was simultaneously monitoring the ship's external sensors and conducting a multi-dimensional psychological analysis of the approaching Zorak fleet. "Their communication networks are beginning to show stress fractures," she announced. "We're introducing quantum-level uncertainties that are propagating through their entire command structure." Dr. Imani Okoro, the team's synapse psychological specialist, was conducting her own form of warfare. By analyzing minute variations in Zorak communication patterns, she was creating psychological disruption that went beyond traditional electronic warfare. "Their command hierarchy is built on a consensus neural network," Okoro explained. "We're introducing micro-variations that will create systemic doubt. It's like whispering contradictory instructions to a collective consciousness." The ship's exterior continued to maintain its illusion of vulnerability. To any standard sensor array, the U.S. provocateur still looked like a decrepit exploration vessel. But with each passing moment, it was conducting a comprehensive systems analysis that was gradually dismantling the Zorak's technological confidence. Captain Elena Rodriguez watched the developing scenario with a clinical detachment. Her cybernetic eye parsed multiple potential outcomes, each scenario a complex mathematical theorem of strategic interaction. This wasn't just a mission, it was a comprehensive demonstration of human adaptive capabilities. Lieutenant Jacob Kim monitored the ship's concealed armaments. To an outside observer, the vessel looked about as threatening as a museum piece. In reality, it carried technologies that could reshape entire star systems if deployed correctly. "Quantum resonance fields are generating constructive interference patterns," Kim reported. "We're not just blocking their sensors, we're actively rewriting their understanding of what's possible." The Zorak fleet found themselves in an increasingly bizarre scenario. Weapon systems would charge, only to find their targeting systems experiencing quantum-level uncertainties. Communication networks began to experience micro-disruptions that defied conventional understanding. Dr. Chen's most impressive contribution was a series of adaptive algorithms that were essentially learning and rewriting the Zorak's own technological language in real time. It was less an invasion and more a comprehensive linguistic and technological recontextualization. "We're not just gathering intelligence," Chen said, a rare smile crossing his face. "We're demonstrating the fundamental difference between collecting data and truly understanding a system." The U.S. provocateur was becoming something more than a vessel. It was a living proof of concept, a demonstration of human technological and strategic thinking that would challenge everything the Zorak understood about interstellar conflict. As the confrontation continued, it became clear that this was no ordinary encounter. The human vessel was conducting a comprehensive systems analysis that went far beyond traditional military engagement. It was a philosophical statement, a technological thesis written in the language of quantum mechanics and strategic innovation. Captain Rodriguez's voice cut through the technical complexity. "Prepare for phase transition," she commanded. The real mission was about to begin. The Zorak battle group committed their full resources, believing they were about to crush an insignificant human intrusion. Instead, they found themselves trapped in a living nightmare of technological and psychological warfare that defied every strategic doctrine they had developed over millennia. Grand Strategos Clorath watched in mounting horror as his fleet's systems began to disintegrate from within. What should have been a simple interception had transformed into a comprehensive systems collapse that challenged the very foundations of Zorak military supremacy. "Weapon systems are experiencing quantum-level destabilization," reported Substrategos Vexna, her crystalline form pulsing with increasing agitation. "Our targeting algorithms are adapting to impossible parameters." Each Zorak vessel found its most advanced technologies turning against it. Weapon systems would charge, only to misfire in ways that defied computational logic. Navigation arrays began to generate multiple contradictory spatial coordinates simultaneously. Communication networks dissolved into a cacophony of conflicting signals. Aboard the U.S. Provocateur, Captain Elena Rodriguez orchestrated the assault with surgical precision. Her cybernetic interface allowed her to perceive the conflict as a multi-dimensional chess match, where each movement was simultaneously an attack, a defense, and a comprehensive data-gathering operation. "Quantum resonance fields at maximum," Lieutenant Jacob Kim reported. "We're not just disrupting their systems, we're rewriting their fundamental understanding of technological interaction." Dr. Marcus Chen's most brilliant contribution was a series of adaptive algorithms that were essentially learning and rewriting the Zorak's own technological language in real time. Complex quantum entanglement relays introduced microscopic variations that propagated through the entire Zorak fleet's computational network. "It's like a virus," Chen explained, "but more of a philosophical challenge than a traditional infection. We're introducing fundamental uncertainties into their most basic computational assumptions." Dr. Imani Okoro monitored the psychological impact. The Zorak's collective consciousness, a massive neural network that had dominated galactic politics for millennia, began to experience something unprecedented: doubt. "Their command structure is experiencing systemic cognitive dissonance," Okoro reported. "Each contradictory signal is creating exponential uncertainty. We're not just attacking their technology, we're challenging their entire conceptual framework." The U.S. Provocateur seemed to exist in multiple states simultaneously. To standard sensors, it remained a decrepit exploration vessel. To more advanced scanning systems, it became an impossibility. A craft that could simultaneously occupy multiple quantum states, its very existence a mathematical paradox. Clorath's neural tendrils began to overload. The human vessel wasn't just resisting, it was systematically dismantling the Zorak's understanding of technological warfare. Each moment revealed new layers of complexity that defied their most advanced predictive models. "This isn't just a battle," Lieutenant Aisha Nyong'o observed, her neural interface parsing the conflict's multiple dimensions. "It's a comprehensive demonstration of technological philosophy." The Zorak fleet found itself caught in a trap of its own making. Every attempt to counter the human vessel only revealed more of their own vulnerabilities. Weapon systems that had conquered entire civilizations became useless, their most advanced technologies turning into elaborate paperweights. Captain Rodriguez's voice remained calm, a stark contrast to the technological maelstrom surrounding the U.S. Provocateur. "Prepare comprehensive data package," she commanded. It's time they understood what they're truly facing. As the conflict reached its zenith, it became clear that this was far more than a simple military engagement. The U.S. Provocateur was conducting a comprehensive systems analysis that would fundamentally reshape galactic understanding of technological warfare. The trap was about to close. In a moment of brilliant audacity, Captain Elena Rodriguez prepared to broadcast a message that would freeze the entire Zorak battle group in their computational tracks. It wasn't a threat, not a negotiation. It was a clinical, emotionless presentation of the systemic vulnerabilities they had just discovered in the aliens' defensive infrastructure. The communication device Dr. Marcus Chen activated looked like an antiquated radio transmitter. In reality, it was a quantum-entangled communication system that could simultaneously exist across multiple transmission spectrums, its very signal a complex mathematical theorem that would challenge the Zorak's understanding of information transfer. Initiating comprehensive data package, Chen reported, his fingers dancing across holographic interfaces that shimmered with impossible complexity. We're not just sending a message, we are rewriting their entire conceptual framework. The transmission began as a seemingly random burst of quantum-encoded information. To standard communication arrays, it would appear as nothing more than background radiation. But to the Zorak's advanced neural networks, it was a comprehensive dissection of their entire technological and strategic infrastructure. Layer by layer, the message revealed the U.S. provocateur's true purpose. It wasn't just a vessel. It was a living proof of concept, a comprehensive demonstration of human technological and strategic thinking that would challenge everything the Zorak understood about interstellar conflict. Grand Strategos Klorath found his neural tendrils overloading as the transmission revealed vulnerabilities that had existed in their systems for millennia. The humans hadn't just discovered these weaknesses, they had systematically mapped them, understood them, and were now presenting them with clinical precision. Dr. Imani Okoro monitored the psychological impact. Their collective consciousness is experiencing something unprecedented, she reported. It's not just fear or confusion. It's a fundamental challenge to their understanding of technological supremacy. Lieutenant Aisha Nyong'o's neural interface parsed the multidimensional nature of the transmission. We're not just sharing information, she observed. We're demonstrating the fundamental difference between collecting data and truly understanding a system. The message was both a warning and a demonstration. Humanity didn't just fight. They dissected. They understood. And most terrifyingly, they could rebuild entire strategic paradigms from a single, seemingly vulnerable encounter. Lieutenant Jacob Kim monitored the ship's concealed systems. Quantum resonance fields are maintaining transmission integrity, he reported. We're introducing computational uncertainties that will propagate through their entire network. Each layer of the transmission revealed a more profound truth. The U.S. provocateur wasn't just a vessel. It was a comprehensive systems analysis disguised as a simple exploration craft. Every movement, every interaction had been a carefully calculated probe designed to reveal the most fundamental vulnerabilities in the Zorak's technological infrastructure. The communication became a living thing, a complex algorithmic entity that simultaneously existed as data, analysis, and philosophical challenge. It was less a traditional message and more a comprehensive systems audit that would reshape the Zorak's understanding of technological interaction. Transmission approaching peak complexity, Dr. Chen announced, a rare excitement in his voice. We're about to show them what true technological innovation looks like. Captain Rodriguez watched the unfolding scenario with her characteristic clinical detachment. Her cybernetic eye parsed multiple potential outcomes, each scenario a complex mathematical theorem of strategic interaction. This wasn't just a mission. It was a comprehensive demonstration of human adaptive capabilities. The Zorak battle group found itself frozen, their most advanced computational systems struggling to process the comprehensive data package. It was as if the very foundations of their technological understanding were being systematically dismantled and rebuilt in real time. Prepare final transmission sequence, Rodriguez commanded. The turning point was about to become a transformation. The U.S. provocateur didn't destroy the Zorak fleet. Instead, it systematically demonstrated how it could destroy them, then chose not to. A strategic masterstroke that would redefine galactic understanding of human capabilities. Captain Elena Rodriguez watched the unfolding scenario with a precision that bordered on the transcendent. Her cybernetic eye parsed multiple potential outcomes, each movement a calculated demonstration of technological and strategic superiority that went far beyond traditional military engagement. "Prepare final systems analysis," she commanded, her voice a calm center in the technological maelstrom surrounding the vessel. Dr. Marcus Chen activated the final layer of their comprehensive infiltration. What appeared to be a simple data transmission was actually a quantum-entangled systems probe that would continue to propagate through Jorak technological infrastructure for decades to come. "We're not just revealing vulnerabilities," Chen explained to his teammates. "We're leaving behind a living algorithm that will continue to challenge their entire technological paradigm." Lieutenant Jacob Kim monitored the ship's concealed systems. "Quantum resonance fields are maintaining maximum adaptive complexity," he reported. "We're introducing computational uncertainties that will fundamentally reshape their understanding of technological interaction." The Jorak fleet found itself in an unprecedented scenario. Their most advanced weapon systems were now comprehensive diagnostic tools that revealed their own fundamental limitations. Every attempt to counter the human vessel only exposed more of their own systemic vulnerabilities. Grand Strategos Clarath's neural tendrils pulsed with a combination of terror and reluctant admiration. The human vessel had done something no civilization had ever accomplished. It had completely dismantled the Jorak's sense of technological supremacy without firing a single destructive weapon. Dr. Imani Okoro monitored the psychological impact with clinical precision. "Their collective consciousness is experiencing a comprehensive existential recalibration," she reported. "We're not just challenging their technology. We're challenging their entire conceptual framework of technological superiority." Lieutenant Aisha Nyong'o's neural interface parsed the multidimensional nature of their strategic approach. "This is more than a military engagement," she observed. "It's a comprehensive philosophical demonstration of adaptive intelligence." The U.S. provocateur began to generate a quantum-encrypted data package that would take the Jorak centuries to fully comprehend. It was a gift and a threat wrapped in one impossibly complex transmission, a living algorithm that would continue to challenge their most fundamental technological assumptions. "Transmission of comprehensive systems analysis complete," Dr. Chen announced. What the Jorak had encountered was not a traditional military vessel, but a living proof of concept. The U.S. provocateur was a comprehensive demonstration of human technological philosophy, a craft that could simultaneously exist as exploration vessel, strategic probe, and philosophical challenge. Captain Rodriguez's final transmission was both a warning and an invitation. It revealed the depths of human technological capabilities, while simultaneously demonstrating a fundamental lack of interest in traditional galactic power dynamics. The vessel had accomplished something far more profound than military victory. It had introduced a fundamental uncertainty into the Jorak's understanding of technological interaction. "Prepare for departure," Rodriguez commanded. The mission was complete. The message was sent. News of the encounter spread through galactic communication networks like a quantum-entangled wildfire. Other alien civilizations began to re-examine their understanding of humanity, transforming a single mission into a comprehensive strategic redefinition. The small committee of human strategists who had designed the U.S. provocateur's mission allowed themselves a rare moment of satisfaction. This was never about a single encounter. It was about reshaping galactic perception, one brilliantly executed operation at a time. Deep within the most secure research facilities on Earth, holographic displays tracked the mission's ongoing impact. Dr. Elena Rodriguez's brother, Admiral Marcus Rodriguez, watched the comprehensive analysis with a mixture of professional pride and scientific fascination. "It's not just about technological superiority," he explained to the assembled researchers. "It's about demonstrating a fundamental approach to problem-solving that challenges everything other civilizations understand about strategic interaction." The Jorak Collective found itself in an unprecedented existential crisis. Their millennia-long belief in technological supremacy had been systematically dismantled by a single vessel that looked, by all initial appearances, completely unremarkable. Grand Strategos Clarath's neural networks continued to process the comprehensive data package left behind by the U.S. provocateur. What had initially seemed like a vulnerability assessment was actually a living, adaptive algorithm that continued to reveal new layers of systemic complexity. Substrategos Vexna, always the more cautious member of the Jorek leadership, began to advocate for a complete reassessment of their technological and strategic doctrines. The human vessel had demonstrated capabilities that went far beyond traditional understanding of military engagement. We were not defeated, Vexna argued before the Jorek High Council. We were comprehensively educated. Across multiple star systems, xenostrategists and technological researchers began to dissect every available piece of information about the encounter. The U.S. provocateur had become more than a vessel. It was a living case study in adaptive intelligence. Dr. Imani Okoro's comprehensive psychological analysis of the mission began to circulate through academic and military research networks. Her findings suggested that the human vessel had accomplished something far more profound than a traditional military engagement. It had introduced a fundamental philosophical challenge to established galactic paradigms. This was not just a mission, Okoro's report concluded, but a comprehensive demonstration of adaptive intelligence as a strategic philosophy. The quantum encrypted data package continued to propagate through Jorek systems, a living algorithm that would continue to reveal new layers of complexity for decades to come. It was less a traditional intelligence gathering operation and more a comprehensive systems audit that challenged fundamental assumptions about technological interaction. Lieutenant Jacob Kim, now lecturing at the Advanced Strategic Studies Institute, used the mission as a comprehensive case study. Technological superiority, he would tell his students, is not about the most advanced weapon. It's about the most adaptive approach to problem solving. The mission had transformed the very understanding of what was possible in interstellar engagement. Other alien civilizations began to look at human vessels with a newfound respect and carefully concealed terror. What had appeared to be a simple exploration mission had revealed itself as a comprehensive philosophical and technological statement. The U.S. provocateur was proof that humanity's true strength lay not in raw military power, but in its capacity for adaptive, multidimensional thinking. Captain Elena Rodriguez's final transmission continued to echo through galactic communication networks, a living proof that true strategic superiority was about understanding, not destruction. The question had transformed from, why would terrestrials dispatch just one craft, to what else are humans capable of that we haven't yet understood. As the U.S. provocateur prepared for its next mission, the galaxy watched and wondered.